What's up, Ronin Renegades? Welcome back to the channel, and thank you all so much for your patience this past week. I'm back from Cincinnati, and back to my 5-day per week video schedule, and the best way to enjoy it is to subscribe to my channel. A YouTube subscription is the best way to support me for free, and to make sure you see every episode of daily Fi gameplay in your video feed. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a link to my Patreon is available in the video description below. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord, your name could appear in every DFG video, you could get an extra episode of DFG every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily Fi gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can't afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. I alluded to the fact that I played in the BAD-tle Hardened in Cincinnati last weekend, so let's get right into it. First, the pluses. So many DFG viewers came up and said hi or took pictures, which was extremely gratifying, and I thank all of you for it. I even signed a Phoenix Flame, which was very cool and really made the weekend. So thank you to everyone who came up to chat. I wouldn't be nearly as motivated to make these videos without you. Next, Star City Games really put on a great event. There was plenty of space, plenty to do, and plenty of amenities for players between rounds, which, as a Vi player, I have a lot of time between rounds. Everyone I talked to or played against was so friendly and so excited to be there. Flesh and Blood really has the friendliest player base of any card game I've played, and I've played most of the big ones. And getting honest-to-goodness competitive experience was fantastic. I want to make this my year of competitive Flesh and Blood, and BH Cincinnati set a good tone for the rest of 2024. It set great expectations for the quality of opponent I'll play against, and gave me great insight for how I need to improve my game. And the minuses. I sucked butt, and my overall record reflects that. I went 3-5 in the BAD-tle Hardened, which is not good. 3-5 is a negative record. Now I went 4-3 in the PTI event the next day. That's better, but it still isn't great. It isn't making top 8. And between the BAD-tle Hardened and the PTI, I lost 36 elo, which actually hurts more than the negative record because it'll follow me for the rest of my Flesh and Blood career, and I'll have to work hard to get those points back. So what happened? I've been putting in work against the field, which you can all attest to as you see the results every day. I've had great results in previous ranked events like ProQuest and the Vegas Calling, which I was expecting to carry over to Cincy, and I wouldn't even say that my games went poorly. Every loss ended with my opponent at 3 or less life and no armor, so it isn't like I made it easy for anyone. And while I can point to the occasional misplay or blunder, and they were there, I believe that my biggest fault is in overlooking 2 crucial details. First, unlike in the Lexi meta of summer 2023, Fi is no longer an unknown deck, and neither are his Kodachis. Of course, everyone knows what to expect from Fi, raw damage with few on-hits over a long chain, but few people playing in Vegas or Barcelona knew what Fi did. He goes wide enough to threaten a draw trigger multiple times in a turn. All anyone knew was that Fi shouldn't be allowed to draw cards, so they misplayed and committed too much to blocking rather than attacking. But then Barcelona happened, and then Hanover happened, and now pros and the players who want to beat them are aware of Fi and are testing against him. BAD-tle Hardened competitors know how and when to block, and I couldn't prey on their ignorance or inexperience, which leads me to the second crucial detail I missed. Top meta decks play well on small hands. The idea behind Kodachi Momentum is to bait cards from your opponent's hand to cripple the power of their own turn and give you an advantage in a race. But what happens when your opponent is perfectly capable of racing 4-card Fi with 3 or 2-card hands? Dash is perfectly capable of putting above rate hands together without 4 cards. Azalea can do it too. And of course, opposing Fis can do it. So when we intentionally reduce our damage output with sub-rate cards and weapons in order to cripple our opponents but find them resilient to it, all we're doing is playing a bad deck for no reason. And on the other extreme, when these meta decks do draw the nuts and decide to keep a full hand, there's no guarantee that our deck will make them pay for it. If your Mask of Momentum draws you a blue, it's unlikely that your 6-card hand outvalues Dash with a 5-card High Octane turn, or Azalea and her 14 damage dominated red in the ledger. So this all brings me back to my original misevaluation of the weekend's meta versus that of 3 months ago. If a Kodachi-based game plan isn't causing our opponents to panic, misplay, or lose value, then why am I sacrificing damage to do it? And if in those games that I lost by 1 or 2 points, I had been playing an optimized Emberblade list rather than a suboptimal Switchblade one, maybe I could have gotten there in the end. So the next question is, for all the games I've played and analysis I've done leading up to the Battle-Hardened, why didn't I catch this? Why didn't I catch that decks and players are adapting to the Kodachi Momentum game plan? The answer, in my estimation, is the unreliability of Talishar testing. Grinding reps on Talishar is certainly more helpful than not playing at all, but I failed to recognize that even in the Undo CC queue, which I consider to be the most competitive, not everyone is playing with the same goal in mind. Some people are testing new decks or new cards, some people are grinding their pet deck with no consideration of competitive viability, some people are playing in a vacuum and pay no attention to which decks are in the meta or what those decks do, and some people might just be drunk. The point is, there's no guarantee that my online opponent has any idea of what my deck is up to, but I can be absolutely certain that my battle-hardened opponent does. So where I had already guessed that Talishar random queues weren't the greatest testing tool, they were even worse than I thought. So, in my estimation, the reason I did so poorly this weekend is that I failed to properly assess the meta and brought a bad deck because of it. Fi was a great choice for the weekend, and a number of Fi players did very well, but my particular version of the list was poorly suited for the event, and I lost a lot because of it. So where does this leave me now that all competitive CC events have ended until after the release of Heavy Hitters? For now, I've put effort into retooling my Emberblade list, with consideration for the current meta and based off of the winning Battle-Hardened Hanover list. You can find the most recent iteration of my Emberblade deck list in the video description below if you'd like to check it out or test it on Talishar. Between now and Heavy Hitters, I'll be getting reps on other decks and posting those games for your enjoyment and education. But once Heavy Hitters drops and the Brewers really start testing, I'll be back on Fi to prep for Road to Nationals and the Los Angeles Calling. Barring any craziness from the new set, I believe that Fi will still be a competitive choice for comp REL events, and that the thousands of reps I put in will serve me better than any new hero could. Once the new set drops, I'll be reaching out more frequently to the great players I know personally in order to get better reps than I would against randoms online. Talishar will always be a huge part of my training regimen, and of course it's crucial to this YouTube channel. But getting reps against players I know to be good and know have similar goals to mine is far more important than I gave it credit for. Overall, I'm very happy to have been able to attend Battle-Hardened Cincinnati, if for nothing else than the opportunity to see how much I need to improve. And I also hope that you have enjoyed this little report. It's a bit different than I expected it to be, and a bit different than the reports I've put up in the past, but I think my general reflections are a lot more useful than a simple breakdown of the games I lost and why, and they're certainly more helpful to me. So if you did enjoy this, or if you found it at all helpful, please head jab that like button. My comments are always open for questions or feedback, and let me know how you'll be preparing for the competitive Heavy Hitters season. I'll be back tomorrow with more daily Fi gameplay, and until then, take care.